I stand in my childhood bedroom, the same pale yellow walls, the same crack in the ceiling that looks like a river. And I can hear my mother's voice echoing up the stairs. She's talking to my father in that clipped, efficient tone she reserves for discussing household maintenance or returning defective appliances. "We should have travelled more," she says, "before we had her." I pause, one hand on the dresser drawer. The wood is warm beneath my palm. "Venice," my father replies. "You always wanted Venice." "We could have bought the condo in Scottsdale. Your promotion came through that same year." I pull the drawer open slowly, carefully, so it doesn't squeak. Inside are folded sweaters I haven't worn in years. Relics from a version of myself that believed if I was just quiet enough, helpful enough, I might earn a place at their table that felt less like a favour. 28 years, my mother continues. There's no malice in her voice, which somehow makes it worse. She sounds thoughtful, almost wistful. If we'd known how much it would cost, not just money, but time, energy, everything we gave up, I'm not sure we would have made the same choice. My father doesn't disagree. The silence that follows is its own kind of answer. I've spent my entire life in this house believing that if I could just decode the formula, if I could be smarter, quieter, more convenient, I might transform from obligation into daughter. I've watched them light up when my older sister, Rachel, calls, seen them lean forward in their seats when my younger brother, Jordan, shares his latest achievement. With me, they lean back. They check their phones. They find reasons to be elsewhere. But I've never heard them say it out loud before. The regret, the wish that I had never existed at all. I finish packing methodically, sweaters, jeans, the few books they never boxed up and donated. My hands don't shake. I've had 28 years to prepare for this moment, even if I didn't know it was coming. The diary is in the bottom drawer, buried beneath winter scarves I never wear, because my mother believes scarves are try hard. And I learned early not to try too hard at anything. It's a cheap composition notebook with a marbled black and white cover, the kind you can buy at any drugstore. I've kept it since high school, filling page after page with the thoughts I could never say out loud. I should throw it away. But something stops me. Maybe the same instinct that made me keep it all these years. Instead, I tuck it under a stack of old sweaters in the drawer and close it quietly. When I carry my suitcase downstairs, 20 minutes later, my parents are in the living room. My father has the newspaper spread across his lap. My mother is scrolling through her phone, probably reading about Rachel's latest vacation or Jordan's promotion or any of the 100 small victories that fill her days with pride. "I'm heading out," I say from the doorway. My mother glances up, her reading glasses perched on her nose. "Out where?" "I found a place, an apartment. I'm moving." She blinks. "When did you decide this?" "Just now." The lie comes easily because the truth that I've been deciding this my entire life, in 1,000 small moments of erasure, would require an explanation I no longer have the energy to give. My father folds his newspaper. "This seems sudden." "Does it?" I adjust my grip on the suitcase handle. "I'm 28. Most people move out before now." "Well, yes, but..." My mother sets her phone down. "We'll need to discuss logistics. Your room, the utilities, whether you're taking furniture..." "Keep it all," I say. "I don't need anything." This, at least, is true. I've spent so many years trying to take up less space, require fewer resources, cost them less trouble. Leaving everything behind feels like the natural conclusion to a lifetime of subtraction. My mother's mouth opens, closes. She looks at my father, who shrugs with the same casual indifference he's always shown when I'm involved. Not quite disapproval, not quite support, just a vast, neutral nowhere. "Where is this apartment?" she asks finally. "Downtown, near the library." "That's expensive." "I can afford it." Another pause. I can see her calculating, trying to figure out if this is a situation that requires her attention, or if it can be filed away under handled. "Well," she says eventually, "if you've made up your mind." If, as though this is a whim, a phase, something I might reconsider if given enough time and sensible advice. I should say something. I should tell them what I heard, force them to confront the weight of their words. But I've learned that confrontation with people who don't see you is like shouting into an empty room. The sound goes nowhere, nothing changes. So instead I say, "I'll text you the address." And I walk out the front door into the late October afternoon. The air is crisp, carrying the smell of wood smoke and dead leaves. Somewhere down the street, a dog barks. A car door slams. The ordinary sounds of a Saturday in suburban Connecticut, where every house looks like every other house, and everyone's pain is carried quietly behind closed doors. I load my suitcase into my Honda, the one I bought myself 3 years ago when it became clear my parents weren't going to help with a car the way they had for Rachel and Jordan. And I sit in the driver's seat for a long moment before starting the engine. I don't cry. I stopped crying over them years ago, around the time I realised that tears were just another form of asking for something they couldn't give. The apartment I'm moving into is a studio on the 4th floor of a converted warehouse. It has exposed brick and large windows that let in so much light it feels like a different world from the dim, curtained rooms of my childhood home. I signed the lease 3 days ago. The same week, I overheard my mother telling her book club that raising children was the most overrated experience of her life. That was the first crack. Today's conversation was the break. I furnished the apartment from thrift stores and Facebook Marketplace. A futon that folds into a couch, a small kitchen table with mismatched chairs, bookshelves made from cinder blocks and reclaimed wood. Everything is second-hand, but it's mine. Every choice I make, the blue throw pillows, the vintage lamp, the coffee mugs with chipped handles, is mine. For the first time in 28 years, I'm building a space that doesn't require me to apologise for existing. I don't call them, I don't text. I send a single message with my new address, as promised, and then I mute the conversation. My phone stays mostly quiet. Rachel calls once, irritated that I've upset Mom. But she doesn't ask what happened. Jordan doesn't call at all, which is typical. To him, I've always been more of a fixture than a person. Someone who exists in the background of family photos but rarely factors into actual decisions. It takes a week before my mother texts, "Can you come by the house? We need to talk." I stare at the message for a long time. The old version of me, the one who spent her childhood trying to earn scraps of attention, wants to respond immediately, wants to fix whatever unnamed problem my absence has created. But I've started therapy. Dr. Rayner, a woman in her 50s with silver hair and a calm, steady voice, has been helping me understand the difference between helping and self-erasure. You don't owe them your presence, she said in our last session. Not if being there costs you yourself. I text back, I'm busy this week, maybe next month. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. It's important, my mother writes. So is my time, I reply, and I turn off my phone. The following Saturday, I'm at a coffee shop near my apartment when my phone buzzes with a call from my father. I let it go to voicemail, then another call, another. Finally, I answer. Emma? His voice is tight. Your mother and I need you to come home. Why? We found something in your room. My chest tightens. What did you find? Just come home, please. Please. He's never said please to me before, not in 28 years. I drive back to the house in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel too tight. The trees are bare now, skeletal against the grey November sky. The neighbourhood looks exactly the same as it did the day I left. Neat lawns, tidy flower beds, American flags hanging limp in the still air. My parents are waiting in the living room. My mother sits on the edge of the couch, her hands folded in her lap. My father stands by the fireplace, one hand on the mantel. Between them on the coffee table is my diary. The marbled black and white cover is instantly recognisable. My stomach drops. You went through my things, I say quietly. We were cleaning your room, my mother says. Her voice is hoarse, like she's been crying. We didn't know you were serious about moving out. We wanted to box up some of your belongings, and we found this. I look at the diary. I don't move to pick it up. Did you read it? My father's jaw works. Emma, did you read it? Yes. My mother's eyes are red-rimmed. We read it. I wait. The silence stretches between us, heavy and suffocating. We didn't know, she says finally, and her voice breaks. We didn't know you felt. We didn't know it was this bad. I almost laugh. The diary is full of entries dating back 13 years. Page after page of carefully documented loneliness. Birthday parties where I sat alone at the table while they celebrated Rachel. Christmas mornings where my gifts were clearly afterthoughts, generic gift cards while Jordan opened thoughtfully chosen presents. The time I made the honour roll and my mother said, "That's nice, honey," without looking up from her phone. Every hurt catalogued, every slight recorded. Every moment I felt invisible, translated into ink on paper. You said you regretted having me, I say. My voice is steady. Last week, I heard you. My mother's face crumples. Emma, no. You said if you'd known how much I would cost, you wouldn't have made the same choice. You said you could have bought a condo in Scottsdale instead. My father moves toward me, his hand outstretched. We were just talking. We didn't mean... You meant it. I take a step back. And that's fine. You're allowed to feel that way. But you don't get to be surprised that I heard you. And you don't get to be upset that I left. We want to fix this, my mother says desperately. Please, Emma, tell us how to fix this. I look at them, really look at them, for the first time in years. My mother, always so polished and put together, now with mascara streaking her cheeks. My father, usually so detached, now gripping the back of the couch like he needs it to stay upright. They're scared. They've finally realised what they've lost, and they're scared. But fear isn't the same as love, and regret isn't the same as change. I don't know if you can, I say honestly. I spent 28 years trying to be someone you could love, and it was never enough. I don't have anything left to give you. We do love you, my father insists. Emma, you're our daughter. Am I? The question hangs in the air. Because it never felt that way. It felt like I was a responsibility you resented, a mistake you had to manage. My mother reaches for the diary with shaking hands. I read what you wrote about the 7th grade science fair. I remember that entry. I'd spent 3 months building a model of the solar system, complete with a motorized sun that lit up when you pressed a button. I was so proud of it. I wanted them to come see it, to watch me present, to be there for something that mattered to me. They forgot. They were at Jordan's soccer game instead. I came home to an empty house and cried in my room for hours. Then I wrote about it in my diary, because the page was the only place I could be honest about how much it hurt. I'm sorry, my mother whispers. Emma, I'm so sorry. What about the graduation party? I ask. Do you remember that entry? My father flinches. He remembers. I'd graduated summa cum laude from college. I'd worked 3 jobs to pay my tuition because they'd refused to help, said it would build character and teach me the value of hard work. When I walked across that stage, I was alone in the audience. They were in Florida celebrating Rachel's engagement. I threw myself a party, invited my college friends, ordered pizza and cheap champagne. And when everyone left, I sat in my tiny dorm room and wrote about how it felt to achieve something huge and have no one who was supposed to love you care. We were thoughtless, my father says. His voice is rough. We were selfish and thoughtless, and we took you for granted. You did more than that, I say. You made me feel like I didn't matter. Like I was an inconvenience in your lives. Do you know what that does to a person? To spend your entire childhood believing you're a burden? My mother is crying openly now, her shoulders shaking. We didn't mean to make you feel that way. But you did. And you kept doing it. Year after year after year. I pick up the diary, holding it against my chest. The weight of it is familiar, comforting. It's been my witness for over a decade, the only place where my pain was acknowledged as real. I'm not doing this anymore, I say quietly. I'm not going to keep trying to earn a place in this family. I'm not going to keep shrinking myself so you're more comfortable. I'm done. Please don't say that, my mother begs. Emma, please. We can change. We can do better. Can you? I meet her eyes. Because I've heard that before. Every time I got upset about being left out, every time I tried to tell you how I felt, you said you'd do better, and then nothing changed. This time will be different, Afire, my father says. Why? Because you found my diary? Because you finally have proof that you hurt me? I shake my head. I needed you to care before you had proof. I needed you to notice I was suffering without me having to document it for you. The truth settles over the room like ash, heavy, inescapable. What do we do? My mother asks helplessly. Emma, what do we do? I don't have an answer. I've spent so much energy trying to figure out how to make them love me that I never considered what I would do if they finally wanted to try. I don't know, I admit. I don't know if there's anything you can do. The damage is already done. My father sits down heavily on the couch, his face pale. We read every entry, he says, all of them, from the time you were 15 until last month. I grip the diary tighter. Then you know exactly who you've been to me. The entry about your 16th birthday, my mother says, her voice breaking. You wrote that you made your own cake because we forgot. You wrote that you sang happy birthday to yourself in the kitchen at midnight. I remember that night. I'd used a boxed mix and canned frosting. The cake was lopsided, the frosting too sweet, but I'd lit a single candle and made a wish anyway. I wished that someday someone would remember I existed. You were in Vegas, I say quietly, for Rachel's bachelorette party. She wasn't even engaged yet. It was a pre-engagement celebration. My mother covers her face with her hands. Oh, God. And the entry about your college acceptance letters, my father adds. His voice is hoarse. You got into Stanford, full academic scholarship, and you said it was too far away, I finish. You said I should stay close to home, go to state school, save money, but you helped Rachel move to California for grad school. You paid her deposit and her first 6 months of rent. We thought, my father starts again. We thought you were more independent. You never seemed to need us the way Rachel did. I needed you exactly as much as she did, I say. I just learned earlier that asking for help was pointless. The living room feels smaller than it used to. The walls are closing in, or maybe I'm just finally seeing how confined I've always been in this space. The family photos on the mantle, Rachel's graduation, Jordan's baseball championship, the professional portrait from last Christmas where I'm positioned at the edge of the frame, slightly out of focus. There's an entry here, my mother says, opening the diary with trembling hands. From 3 years ago, Thanksgiving. I know which one she means. I can recite it from memory. You wrote that you spent 6 hours cooking. She reads aloud, her voice cracking. Turkey, stuffing, 3 kinds of pie. You set the table with the good china. You made place cards. And when everyone arrived, you complimented Rachel's store-bought pumpkin pie, I say. You told her it was the best you'd ever had. You didn't touch mine. My mother's tears fall onto the pages. I didn't even remember you'd made pie. I know, that's what I wrote. My father stands, paces to the window. The entries about family dinners. You documented every conversation where we talked over you, interrupted you, changed the subject when you were speaking. 47 times, I say. In 3 months. I counted. He turns to face me, and for the first time in my life, I see actual pain in his eyes. Not frustration, not inconvenience. Pain. How did we not see this? He asks. How did we not notice we were doing this to you? Because you weren't looking, I say simply. You were looking at Rachel. You were looking at Jordan. You were looking at your phones, your friends, your own lives. You were looking everywhere except at me. My mother closes the diary carefully, like it might shatter. The last entry, the one from the day before you moved out. You wrote... She stops, unable to continue. I know what I wrote. I wrote it at 2 a.m, sitting on the floor of my childhood bedroom, with tears streaming down my face. I wrote that I was tired, I say. I wrote that I'd spent 28 years trying to matter to you, and I finally understood that I never would. I wrote that leaving was the only way I'd survive. You wrote that you loved us, my father says quietly, even after everything. You wrote that you loved us and you hated yourself for it. The words hang in the air between us. True. Undeniable. I do love you, I admit. That's the worst part. If I didn't love you, this would be easy. But I do, and it's killing me, and I can't do it anymore. My mother stands, takes a tentative step toward me. What can we do? Emma, please, there has to be something. I look at her, really look at her, and I see a stranger. This woman who gave birth to me, who raised me, who has lived in the same house with me for 28 years. I don't know her, and she doesn't know me. I need time, I say finally. I need space to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to earn your love. I need to build a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for you to notice me. How much time? My father asks. I don't know, maybe months, maybe longer. Years. My mother's voice is small, frightened. Maybe. She sinks back onto the couch. We'll lose you. You never had me, I say gently. Not really. You had a version of me that I created to try to fit into this family, but that person doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if the real me will fit here. My father crosses the room, stops a few feet away from me. He doesn't touch me. We've never been a family that touches casually, but he's closer than he's been in years. I read the entry about your graduation, he says. College graduation. You wrote that you looked for us in the crowd, even though you knew we weren't coming. You said you kept hoping you'd see us, that we'd surprise you. I remember standing on that stage, diploma in hand, scanning the audience one last time, just in case. We should have been there, he says. We should have been at all of it. The science fair, your 16th birthday, every moment that mattered to you. We should have been there. But you weren't. No. His voice breaks. We weren't. The admission sits between us, solid and real. No excuses, no justifications, just the truth. I'm going to go now, I say. I need to go. When will we see you again? My mother asks desperately. I'll call. Eventually, when I'm ready. What about Thanksgiving? She asks. It's in 2 weeks. You always come for Thanksgiving. I think about all those Thanksgivings, setting the table, cooking for hours, watching everyone praise Rachel's contributions while mine went unnoticed, sitting at the edge of conversations, invisible. I'm going to do something different this year, I say. I'm going to spend it with people who actually want me there. My mother flinches like I've struck her. That's not fair, my father says. We want you here. Do you? Or do you want to feel better about yourselves? Because those are 2 different things. He doesn't answer. He can't. I walk toward the door, the diary still clutched in my hand. My mother stands, follows me. Emma, wait, please. Can we at least talk? Can we have coffee sometime? Lunch? I pause at the threshold. Maybe I'll let you know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. I step out into the November cold. The sky is grey, threatening snow. The air smells like winter, sharp and clean and new. Behind me, I hear my mother crying. I hear my father trying to comfort her. I hear the sound of the life I'm leaving behind. And for the first time, I don't feel guilty about walking away from it. I drive back to my apartment with the windows down, cold air rushing through the car. My phone buzzes with texts. My mother, then my father, then Rachel, who's apparently been called in to help manage the crisis. Rachel's message is predictably self-centered. What did you do? Mum is hysterical. I don't respond. I'm done being responsible for their emotional regulation. When I get home, I make tea and sit by the window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk falls. My apartment is quiet, peaceful, mine. Dr. Rayner calls at 7, our scheduled session time. How did it go? She asks after I settle onto the futon with my tea. They found my diary. A pause. How do you feel about that? I don't know. Violated, I guess, but also relieved. They finally know. I don't have to explain. I don't have to convince them they hurt me. It's all there in my own handwriting. And how did they react? They cried, they apologized, they asked what they could do to fix it. What did you tell them? That I need time, that I need space, that I don't know if this is fixable. Do you believe it's fixable? Dr. Rayner's voice is gentle, non-judgmental. I watch a couple walk by on the street below, hand in hand, laughing at something. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe people can change, but another part knows that this isn't just about change. This is about 28 years of damage. You can't undo that with apologies. No, she agrees, you can't, but you can decide what kind of relationship you want moving forward. It doesn't have to look like it did before. What if I don't want a relationship at all? That's also a valid choice. The permission lands softly. I've spent so long believing I owed them my presence, my forgiveness, my endless chances. The idea that I could simply choose otherwise feels revolutionary. I'm having Thanksgiving with my friend Marcus, I say. He and his wife host a Friendsgiving every year for people who don't have family nearby or who don't want to be with their family. I've never gone before because I always felt obligated to go home. But this year, I'm going. How does that feel? Scary, good, both. We talk for another 40 minutes about boundaries, about grief, about the specific pain of loving people who can't love you back in the way you need. When we hang up, I feel steadier. The days leading up to Thanksgiving are punctuated by messages from my family. My mother sends long texts detailing everything they should have done differently. My father sends shorter ones, awkward attempts at connection. Rachel sends exactly one message: you're being dramatic. Jordan predictably sends nothing. I respond to my parents occasionally, brief, polite messages that establish I'm alive and not interested in deep conversation. I don't respond to Rachel at all. On Thanksgiving morning, I wake up in my sun-filled apartment and feel something I haven't felt on this holiday in years. Anticipation instead of dread. I make cranberry orange muffins, a recipe I found online, not one passed down through family tradition. I dress in clothes I like, not clothes I think my mother will approve of. I drive to Marcus's house in the suburbs, where the porch is decorated with pumpkins and the windows glow warm. Marcus opens the door before I can knock. He's wearing a ridiculous turkey hat and a huge smile. "Emma, you made it!" He pulls me into a hug, the kind of easy, affectionate embrace my family never mastered. Inside, the house is full of people I've met through work, through book club, through the random connections that build a chosen family. There's Jasmine, a single mum with 2 kids. David and Alex, a couple who moved here from Portland. May, who teaches at the high school. A dozen others, all gathered around the kitchen island, drinking wine and laughing. No one asks where my family is. No one makes me explain why I'm here instead of there. They just make room for me at the counter, hand me a glass of wine, and pull me into a debate about whether marshmallows belong on sweet potato casserole. For the first time in my life, I'm at a Thanksgiving where I'm not invisible. We eat at a long table Marcus built himself, everyone squished together, passing dishes and telling stories. I sit between Jasmine and May, and we talk about everything and nothing. Work frustrations, favourite books, the best coffee shops in town. No one talks over me, no one interrupts. When I tell a story about a difficult client at work, people listen, laugh at the funny parts, commiserate at the hard parts. It's such a small thing, being heard, but it feels enormous. After dinner, we play board games and eat 3 kinds of pie. Someone suggests we go around and say what we're grateful for. And I expect to feel cynical about it. It's such a cliche. But when my turn comes, the words surprise me. I'm grateful for second chances, I say, for the courage to leave situations that hurt me, for friends who feel like family. Marcus raises his glass. To chosen family. Everyone echoes the toast, and I feel tears prick my eyes. Good tears, healing tears. I don't check my phone until I'm home that night. There are 17 missed calls and twice as many texts. My mother has sent photos of their Thanksgiving table, empty chairs where Jordan, Rachel and I usually sit. Jordan apparently went to his girlfriend's family dinner. Rachel went to her in-laws. I went to Marcus's. For the first time in years, my parents spent Thanksgiving alone. We set your place, my mother texts, just in case you changed your mind. I look at the photo of the empty chair, the unused plate, and I feel nothing. No guilt, no regret, just a quiet sense of closure. I text back, I hope you had a nice day. It's not cruel, it's not kind, it's just true. The next morning my father calls. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Emma? He sounds tired. Thank you for responding to your mother's text. Sure. We'd like to take you to dinner this weekend if you're available. Just the 3 of us. No Rachel, no Jordan, just us. I pause. Why? Because we want to talk to you. Really talk. Not about what we want or what we need, but about you. About what you need from us, if anything. I don't know what I need from you, I admit. Then maybe we can start there, he says. Maybe we can just sit together, see what happens. It's such a small request. Dinner, 1 meal. I'll think about it, I say. That's all we're asking. After we hang up, I sit with the request. Dr. Rayner's voice echoes in my mind. You get to decide what kind of relationship you want. Do I want dinner with them? Do I want to try? I think about the diary, about all those documented hurts. I think about my mother's tears, my father's broken voice. I think about the empty chair at their table. I think about the fact that people can be sorry and still be toxic. That apologies don't erase damage. That love without change is just sentiment. But I also think about the possibility that maybe finally they're ready to see me. Not the version of me they wanted, but the actual person I am. I text my father. Saturday, 6 p.m. I'll choose the restaurant. His response is immediate. Thank you. I choose a small Italian place downtown, neutral territory where we've never been together. When Saturday comes, I dress carefully, not to impress them, but to remind myself who I am now. Jeans and a sweater I love, earrings I bought myself. Confidence I've built piece by piece over the last month. They're already at the table when I arrive. My mother looks smaller than I remember. Her makeup carefully applied, but unable to hide the shadows under her eyes. My father stands when he sees me, uncertain. Emma, he says, thank you for coming. I slide into the booth across from them. I almost didn't. We're glad you did, my mother says quickly. The waiter appears, takes our drink orders. The silence that follows is heavy, but not entirely uncomfortable. We're all figuring out how to be in the same space without the old scripts. I've been in therapy, my mother says finally, since we found your diary, Dr. Chen. She specialises in family dynamics. I'm surprised. That's good. She asked me to read some of your entries out loud in session, to really hear what I did. My mother's voice trembles. It was the hardest thing I've ever done,